Hi, folks. Um, Here I am, the evening of Saturday, January 24th. A lot of folks appear to be calling this Freeman at night. So as of today, I've used that title. We'll see if it sticks. Um, I'm here partly because of what happened today in Minnesota. And I felt like I wanted to be here with you all on this particular evening. What I'm sure all of you know is that today federal agents shot and killed someone in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, who appeared to be trying to help a woman who had been pepper sprayed. He was a 27-year-old registered nurse who worked, I believe, at a veterans hospital. So now federal agents have killed a mother with toys in her glove compartment and a nurse, as far as shooting people on the street goes. 37 years old. Thank you. 37 years old. So that happened today. And of course, then immediately, folks in the regime began lying about what happened. There's a lot of footage, and I forewarn you that there's very graphic footage floating around. You can see precisely what happened. You can see precisely what happened from multiple angles, making the lies that are coming from the regime even more blatant than they typically are. They're lying to craft a narrative that they are behaving in the right and that they are attacking evil forces fighting against federal agents. That's a lie. And it's a lie that we all can see for ourselves, but they're going with the lie. And in doing so, they're trying to frame peaceful protest as terrorism. Now, I want to talk here for a moment about some of the things that join us as Americans. Last night, I talked about the Declaration of Independence, and I talked about all of the grievances in the Declaration of Independence. How the Declaration, we remember the preamble, when in the course of human events, the great words and the lofty thoughts. But at the time, the meat of the Declaration of Independence was the grievances against the king, King George, which, as I read last night, says, these are the acts of a tyrant. The Declaration of Independence is a protest document against tyranny. Our nation was founded, we declared independence by protesting and separating ourselves from tyranny. So number one, what joins us as Americans? Well, the Declaration of Independence. We declared our independence from Great Britain and said, we will not submit to tyranny anymore. Number one. Number two, what joins us as Americans? The Constitution, which is being trammeled, disrespected in every possible way by this regime. It is what gives the structure to our government, checks and balances, three branches, which are all having their own problems because of this regime. But the important thing to remember, or one important thing to remember about the Constitution, is it would not have passed without the Bill of Rights. The way that final agreement was reached for the Constitution to be ratified was because it was agreed that there would be a Bill of Rights drafted and added to the Constitution. So, Declaration of Independence against tyranny, Constitution giving us our structure, and equally, if not more important, the Bill of Rights that made that Constitution possible as our founding document. The Bill of Rights was seen by many at the time, and you can go online and read the ratification debates and why people who were worried about the Constitution, all of the arguments that they had for demanding a Bill of Rights. So that too, one of our founding documents, something that joins us as Americans and being violated on multiple levels in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. The right to peaceably assemble, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom from illegal seizure, right? Read the Bill of Rights, folks. Just like I encouraged you yesterday to read the grievances of the Declaration of Independence to see how people at the time defined tyranny. Read the Bill of Rights and see the fundamental rights that people during the founding era demanded be put in place before they would agree, or certainly it was promised to put them into place, and thus they agreed to allow the Constitution to be ratified. These are the things that join us as Americans. All of them are being trampled by this regime, which is now killing Americans in open daylight in the street, killing people just like us, people who, very visible, were not doing anything violent, were out in the street protesting, as is their right, as the Bill of Rights says. And Alex Preddy was shot, I believe, 10 times. If you look at the video, you can see that he is wrestled to the ground by 5 or 6 men who then proceed to shoot him. So Renee Good's murder was a breaking point. Alex Preddy's murder, I think, is more than a breaking point. If it's possible for it to be more repulsive than the blatant murder of Renee Good, I guess what I'm trying to say, and I will tell you here, folks, that I'm hoping that I will have the words to express what I want to express tonight, because I think this is hard for all of us. Alex Preddy was doing what we are all allowed to do as Americans. He was out in the street protesting, actually seemingly trying to help someone who was protesting. That is our right. That has always been our right. That has been our right forever. That is the revolution that spawned the nation, was an act of protest, right? We are a nation that was grounded on the right to protest, and we did something in the founding era that hadn't really been done before, which was colonies breaking away from the mother country, protesting against tyranny in the mother country, declaring their own independence, creating a new kind of government grounded on the people. We are watching this regime violate all of these principles, all of these documents, all of the things that join us together as Americans. All of you who are here this evening, you're here because in your heart, you're reaching out to other Americans because what happened matters, because we know what a violation of morality and humanity it was, in addition to a violation of the essence of what it means to be American as framed by our founding documents. We know that. It's why you're all here. It's why I am here. This, in and of itself, the fact that we are here, and I realize this may feel empty tonight, doesn't feel empty to me. This is a sign of strength, because I feel that in these murders of Americans that we're seeing, it is making this a moment when you can no longer pretend that what's happening is an accident. You can no longer pretend that things are going to basically go along and that you don't need to pay attention. And I guess I'm thinking specifically of people with political power, people in Congress, people with local political power. If at this moment you have political power, you are Republican, and thus have political power, and particularly in Congress, have the power to do something. If at this moment you do not choose to use that power to do something to stop what is happening, you are declaring that you approve of it. There is no option for silence at this point from people who have political power. We are seeing crimes against humanity, murder of Americans who are engaged in what they have a right to engage in, peaceful protest. And we have people in political power who, by remaining silent, silence is not necessarily, I think, compliance. We are at a point where the sins are so grievous that silence becomes support. People need to stand up if they have political power. Now is the moment, because if they don't, after what we saw today, they are declaring themselves supporters of this regime. There is no sort of middle ground now. You are against what's happening or you are for what's happening. There's no middle ground on the gunning down of Americans. There isn't. There's no both sides. As I said yesterday, don't get caught up in what he did, what Preddy did, what Preddy didn't do, what angle we have of whatever footage we have. Don't get caught up in the subtleties of the lies, right? Because that's part of what these folks would like, is that we're going to argue with each other about what we did or didn't see. An American was murdered in the street, was shot down by federal agents, period. Not going to argue about the footage because we can all see it. We don't have to argue about the subtleties. That's what's happening. And this is a moment when people with power are either going to stand up against that, or by not standing up, are going to be aggressively, assertively allowing it to continue, supporting it. I feel that that's where we are right now. Now, you folks who are here, you're here because it obviously matters. It matters to us as Americans. It matters to us as people, folks. I mean, I don't care if you're American or not. If someone is in the street peacefully protesting and is shot dead 10 times, you don't have to be an American to understand the violation of that, to understand the insane brutality of that, to understand that anyone who would do that and lie about it afterwards, they are not just in the wrong, but they are not, I was about to say they are working for evil, but I don't want to descend into the sort of, language of they're evil and they are good kind of extremism that folks on the right are using often, like those people, they're evil, those liberals are evil. I don't want to descend into that. Regardless of the term that we use, what they're doing is beyond wrong. It's criminal. It's inhumane. It's immoral. And if you don't stand up against it, you are saying that you are okay with it. That is where we are. As I said, you are all here because it matters to all of us. We are all here because we know how wrong that was, and we know what that symbolizes, what that means, how that's a fundamental violation of the very thing that is bringing us together here tonight. Our belief in ourselves as a community of Americans. Community, the people. That's who we are. That's what the nation is. That's what made the United States a different kind of nation from other nations at the time. We have not always lived up to our principles, to say the least, but you can say that the government was intended to be different from a monarchy in the degree to which it was going to be grounded on the public, on us, on public opinion. They said it all the time. They wrote it all the time. They discussed it with each other. They went out looking, trying to figure out how they could figure out public opinion. They consciously, deliberately talked all the time about what it meant to rely on the public and who the public was and how can we know what they're thinking. That was, in their mind, the fundamental basis of the American nation. That was what made the United States different at the time from the monarchies that governed most of the rest of the world. This is why, as someone who studies the founding period, this is why I talk about public opinion so much, because it's the essence of our founding. Regardless of where we've gone wrong and the many ways in which we have slaughtered and murdered and excluded people over the history of this country, that idea remains something that we should live up to, but it remains there. It remains in place. And what we are watching is people who fundamentally don't care about public opinion or think they're going to scare us into hiding and shutting up because everyone will be afraid that they will be declared to be engaging in terrorism if they just protest in the street. But the fact of the matter is, folks, we are doing the most fundamentally American thing by standing up and voicing what we think and protesting against what is fundamentally wrong, an attack against the American people, an attack against what the United States really is. I feel that I don't have wise words for you tonight. I can say, and in being here, I would lie if I didn't say, the first night I did this, I did it because I didn't think I would be sleeping. And I figured if I did this, it would comfort me and maybe comfort you as well. And so it does. There are 1,500 people here tonight. And that's a community, folks. That's an us. That's a we who cares about what happened. And that's a testament to what is right and good about the United States. The fact that we are here caring as profoundly as we do. So I would encourage you, and I realize people have been saying this forever, but I would encourage you, given what I said about how this is a moment where you either are going to say I'm against that or you will be for it, contact particularly Republican members of Congress. They are not going to save us. That is not why I'm suggesting this, but they need to know that they are being watched. And if they don't stand up, and if they don't push back, and if they don't act, they are going to be stained with this forever. They will be declaring that they support it. They need to hear that a lot. They need to understand that if they want a career in politics as Republicans, it's not going to fly if they're silent in this moment. If the only thing motivating them is themselves, if all they care about are their ambitions and their own good, fine. Talk to them on that level and say, your ambitions will be foiled and you will not have political power in the future if you do not stand up for what's right and stand against something so blatantly immoral and wrong and anti-American. That's it. That's where we are. And I think people, local leaders as well as members of Congress, need to hear from us. They need to hear from we, the people, that we understand this and that they are going to be accountable for their actions or lack of action now, whether they want to be or not. This is no longer a question of, gosh, well, people hold them accountable by the law. Ooh, well, the courts hold them accountable. I rage about accountability all the time because it's one of the fundamental supports of any kind of democratic government. But now what I'm talking about is accountability by us. We need to tell people who have power and are not choosing to use it to act against this moment. We need to tell those people, we, the American people, hold them accountable. And hiding won't erase that. And silence won't prevent that. This is theirs. And if they choose not to act, they own it. That is what we need to say, or that is at least what I feel we need to say. I don't want to go on for too long here. I want to send love to all of you here without sounding hokey, because the fact that you're all here tonight on this night matters to me, and I think it matters to you too. I know a lot of us are going to have problems sleeping tonight. I understand that, and that's perfectly logical. But at least take some degree of comfort in the fact that a lot of people are standing here with us, essentially side by side as neighbors of a sort, coming together to be together and push back against that fundamental violation of everything human, humane, and moral, as well as democratic. By being here, we're starting. It's a starting point. It's a community of sorts. It matters that we're coming here. And I want to thank you all for coming to this, for being here, where we can all prop each other up and cheer each other on. Take care of yourselves. Try to get some sleep. If you're in wherever the snow is coming, take care of yourselves in the snow. I might be snowed in. Continue to be aware and alert. Continue to speak up and speak out about what you are seeing. As I said a moment ago, let people with political power know that they won't escape this moment with silence or hiding. You cannot hide from what is going on right now. They cannot hide. Okay, so be alert, be aware, watch out for others, and protect your chutzpah. We got a lot of chutzpah, folks. And chutzpah, I think, grows exponentially the more people who are collected together who have it. So, folks, I wish you a good night. I will be here very soon, I am sure, just because I think we all need each other. For now, I am going to end this. Thank you, folks, for being here. And I will talk to you soon.